Hey guys, welcome to another round table with Redfin, and we have some expert agents on the call with us with some really fun questions today that we were going to chat about. And Marcia is with us. What are the questions today, Marcia, that we're going to ask our Redfin agents?
Well, we're going to hit them with two because they were really top asked questions this week. Number one question is, what should buyers always ask for during a home inspection? And second point, how do you negotiate repairs after the home inspection?
Good questions. So I just flipped a coin. Joy in Western Washington, we'll start with you. How would you answer those questions, please?
Well, that's a great question. So we have inspection all the time, but of course depends like what's the competitive level of the property you are interested, right? So first, I mean, most like competitive area, the listing agent or the seller would say, so does this, right? So, I mean, you kind of expect that kind of scenario. You probably want to do a pre-inspection because you don't want to make a offer that's pending on the inspection contingency, right? So, I mean, the advantage of doing the pre-inspection is that you know what's the condition of the house and what price point you are comfortable to walk in to waive everything, right? So, I mean, if it's in the area that you can do inspection contingency, that's great because then you offer the price that the seller is asking for, but then you kind of negotiate once you enter into the inspection, so you know what's the condition of the house. So just yesterday, I have a listing on Whidbey Island. The roof was like, just before the listing, I know it's going to be called out a question because most likely the area is for like a VA loan, right? So for VA,
All right.
FHA, it's definitely more higher standards, like because it's government backed loan. So I mean the roof is like not in great condition, so the seller has to fix it before the loan can be approved. So roof definitely it's a big expense. I mean I have the roof replaced myself previously on my house, and it can cost like between 20K to 30K. It's a big ticket item. So roof definitely is one of the most important item from the inspection report. And also you have to see if the foundation is good, because you don't want to see the crack on the house, and it's going to be a big ticket item if the whole house is like like shifted, or there's some red sign or red flags of the house that it's not stable. So that's definitely a big ticket item. And also the HVAC. So it's like a heating pump, if there's anything that the furnace has any question or issues not working. So, I mean, by Washington state law, the HVAC needs to be serviced within the past 12 months. So that's definitely, has to be on the inspection report. And also like the houses are built before 1979, then there's like kind of lead-based paint issue or concern. But since it's costly to do the lead paint testing, and so mostly like people like don't ask for it, or because usually you'll have like a paint over, so lead paint is kind of like hidden underneath the new paint. So that's but that's on the inspection report as well. Anything else? Popcorn ceiling. I mean, I've done the popcorn ceiling test myself too. So you can buy the kit from the Home Depot or Lowe's, and then just send it to the lab, and they can test it and let you know if popcorn ceiling is a concern for the house. And also like another big thing is like insect investigation. So you have to see if there's any signs of any insects in the house. So I mean, if there is, then you probably have to call out for a specialty inspection from there. Did I miss anything? Plumbing?
Well, I think Rozella can add to it if you have. You did a good job. I think Joy covered some major items there. Rozella in Eastern Washington, we got Washington covered here today, guys. Rozella in Eastern Washington, what do you think about inspections and what buyers should be looking for?
I think Joy covered all of the standard normal ones. There are a couple to note on that we have in our area just because our homes are so old. We have houses that were built in like the 1800s, early 1900s.
Wow.
So for electrical knob and tube, we still have homes over here that are functioning off of knob and tube. So for insurance purposes, safety purposes too. That's one thing we have checked just to make sure it's been updated, switched over. And then to add on to like septic, a lot of our sewer lines here, because they're so old, are what we call Orangeburg. We have so many trees here too that the sewer lines oftentimes do need to be scoped. So we do recommend that to our buyers. That way they don't get into the home and foresee any septic issues backing up. And so that is something that buyers are having done oftentimes. I am curious though, Joy. I have not heard the popcorn ceiling one. So please explain to me the popcorn ceiling one really quickly.
Yeah, so the popcorn ceiling is like a concern for asbestos.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I mean it's an old material. I mean it's
Yep.
for like cosmetic. It looks nice, but the
Yep.
material like back then before 1979, it was like the kind of hazardous, right? So it can
Yep.
cause health concern and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very
My
interesting.
first house had popcorn ceilings, Joy, when I bought in Spokane, of all places, in Rozella. And I remember that. And
I
it was a
know.
concern.
Yeah. And
Yeah, them 70s built homes have popcorn ceilings, and I definitely have it all over my home.
right. So Rosella, I'm
So,
so curious. For the old houses, do you have like oil tank issue over
Oh
there?
yeah. Oh yeah, a lot of them aren't running anymore because you can no longer fill up the oil tanks to be able
Oh,
to run the furnaces. I actually had an old home. They just had to upgrade it to a natural gas one. They had been in their home for 35 years and had been using oil for a long time, and no longer can you get the oil to service the furnaces. You now have to update them.
really?
And so as long as they are no longer in service and dismantled, if they're still in the property, because oftentimes they're huge and they're in the basements and we can't get them out of the homes as long as they're not in service and being utilized.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Rosella, we used to require that they were filled with something like even concrete. Is that still the case you find with older oil tanks?
That's a really good question. I don't know, to be honest. I'd have to look to see. I personally have never even had that come up where we needed to fill it. We've had them inside of the home, but have it filled with something, I'm not 100% certain on. I've had it just so that it's not in working order and disconnected, but not filled with concrete. So that might be a thing. I would have to check on that for you, John.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've had a house with an oil tank that I don't know remember anymore. But in the old days, which was like prior to maybe 15 years ago, we would see them a fair amount and we would deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, just as a story, there was one client on Mercer Island, Joy, who had a really nice home, and there was an oil tank out there from which had been, I think, decommissioned prior to that. But the lender was concerned if there was contamination because it looked like there had been some oil that had leaked from it. And there was, and that owner of the home had to excavate, I don't remember how much, but a hillside worth of dirt, a lot of dirt, prior to us closing the loan. It was not an inexpensive solution for them. So, it
yeah,
can be an issue.
yeah, it's kind of scary. I mean, whenever I see the home with the oil tank is still active or not decommissioned yet, I'm like, oh, check with the fire department just to be sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So Rosella, Joy mentioned pre-inspections. Are you doing much pre-inspections in your area to get that out of the road and have a stronger offer? How do you feel about that?
No, personally, I haven't been writing them. I know my business partner, Stephanie, has been waiving inspections recently on a couple properties that she wrote offers on. Pre-inspections, I don't believe are as popular. However, I think it depends on how competitive it is. We're just coming out of winter time. Our market is starting to like speed up a little bit, but I don't think we have quite the competition as other areas to where pre-inspection might be utilized. We are seeing multiple offers, but again, those sellers are kind of like, if they're getting waived, they would rather just have those completely waived altogether.
So John, I'd like to ask this question that you do your inspection, Rosella, and the roof is got, 6 months left on it. How do
Mhm.
you negotiate or what do you do in that specific case?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of options. It's really going to depend on the buyer situation. Now, is that buyer going to have the funds? And if they might not even worry about it, they might love the home and be like, hey, this is something that I have the ability to fix. Now, let's say the buyer is like, this is a big problem. I don't have the ability to fix it. I know it's going to create harm to the home. At that point, you then go into negotiations with the seller and ask them, you fix the roof or don't fix the roof. You might be able to add a credit to the home to, the sellers give them, $15,000 to have it fixed after closing. Oftentimes those sellers just want to get the home sold and they want to move on with it. So the credit is one thing. We have winter time here. So a lot of the months out of our year, we can't do roof work. So the credit is oftentimes something that sellers do. Sellers can obviously say, no, thank you. We're not going to agree to help you to fix the roof. That does happen. And at that point, it's up to the buyer then to notate, hey, this needs to be done, and then go about it with their options of, fixing it in the future, fixing it now. I know wrapping it into the purchase price, raising the purchase price up 15 grand and then having the sellers credit it at that point so that the buyers are covering part of the cost. But I do think it's important for the agents to discuss between the seller and the buyer to make sure everyone's position of what's even doable on both sides is important.
Okay, thank you. And Joy, how would you handle that piece if there was some big ticket item that needed addressing?
Yeah, I agree all what Rozella said. I mean, that's all, very good tactics. So, I mean, it depends on the property. If the property is on the market for a little longer, say 30, 60 days, then, maybe buyer have more negotiation power. After the inspection, you can tell that you can ask the seller, hey, if you're not going to fix it, you should, like maybe give me the credit and, so we can fix it. And I mean, especially within like 20 days, it's really hard to get like a roofer to replace the roof, right? So with that short time period. Yeah, so I mean, definitely everything is negotiable, and it's always like a balance between the seller and the buyer, and see who got the most negotiation power. And so if they cannot fix it, just ask for credit. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are running into this in Washington, but something that we're running into in Hawaii, and it's getting worse and worse by the day, is the insurance companies are coming back. They're doing their pre-look and they're coming back. And I just had State Farm tell me the other day, they're no longer going to insure single wall construction. But the electrical and the roof are like two items that unless we can answer their questions in the manner in which they want them asked, if the property is a certain age, they won't insure them. Are you guys running into that?
Yeah, I think we're having a lot of insurance issues for a lot of reasons, not just simple things like the roof. The fires are a huge thing here. So I think it's giving them purpose to go out and actually get their eyes on properties where historically they might not have gone out to the homes. And now they are going out to the homes because of these other big ticket items. And then they're seeing all these smaller items. It sounds really silly, but I know like they are picky on our area with moss on the roof, only because when it freezes, that moss dams up and then the water backflows underneath the roofing. So moss is a really common one that we get called on for the roofs. I got called on one shingle of a roof needing to be replaced by the insurance company. So insurance companies are being yeah, they're being a total pain, but I don't think it's just one or two items. I think it's clear across the board. They're just being difficult. There is a lot of insurance companies here we can't utilize because of the fire and the wildfire issue. So we're having to navigate the insurance thing quite a bit. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to change much, but well, you guys are really knowledgeable. I'm amazed at your level of expertise on, helping your clients if they run into some kind of issues during the inspection period. So thank you for your level of knowledge. I can tell you've been through it a couple of times.
Just a couple.
This is a video that we need to package up and send to all of our buyers prior to them getting into the buying process so they know what to expect. This is good stuff, guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So any closing comments from either of you about inspections and what to do with them and when problems happen? Anything else you want to add?
I think I might just add on to there for buyers at least, because I know it seems overwhelming sometimes when we list off, look for this, look for that, look for this, look for that. It seems overwhelming, but I think it's important to them to know that every property is going to be a little bit different, and you're going to have your main things that you need functioning to live in the home. And so go into it with an open mind and don't stress about it, because you could have a brand new home with major problems. So just go into it, trust your inspector of what they say to you, and let your inspector guide you and offer their expert opinion on, the home's condition, so that going into it what will work for you.
Good stuff. Joy, anything else?
Yeah, so my peace of mind is like, if even with purchasing with the new constructions, you should still have an inspection in place. Don't take it for granted everything is new, like, the sewer scope will be perfect. Well, I've heard some like horror story, like, the new constructions, the sewer got like, like damaged some part or stuff like that. So the owner are, or the buyers are happy they did inspection, so they have a peace of mind, and then the builder can fix it before they close. So definitely that, just don't take anything for granted and just do your due diligence.
Good advice. So I do want to emphasize to our audience that we're talking the homeowner's inspection, not the appraisal here. They are two completely separate things. We as a lender never want to see the inspection, and I don't think we ever do, because there are things there that you may live with, which are not a big deal to you, but as a lender, if we saw them, we might say, oh my goodness, that's a safety issue, it's got to be fixed, and so on. So our eyes on the property are the appraiser. The appraiser is probably not going to do quite the level of inspection that a home inspector is going to do. But if they do see something like a roof issue or a window that's broken or something like that, they're going to point that out to us, and then we're going to have it dealt with. If we know of a big problem as a lender, it's going to have to be dealt with typically before closing. But to Rosella's point, if it's a roof or something that's weather dependent and you can't deal with it, we can do something called an escrow holdback at times, and we'll hold back 1.5 times the cost of the repair. And then when it can be repaired, we'll have the money sitting in escrow account to pay some contractor to do that repair. Marcia, any other things you want to add to this conversation?
No, I really, I hope that the listening audience really understands the wise words here, because I will tell you quickly, I did not do an inspection on a house that I bought in Spokane. And to Joy's point about scoping the line, that I didn't have a sewer, but it goes out to the street, the city, it's, city sewer. But the tree roots are all over inside the lines. And had I known that, I would have made the seller address it. And I didn't do that. So I've had to live with that and fix it constantly with Roto-Rooter.
Oh my gosh.
So
expensive.
So I think don't ever take anything for granted is very wise words.
I think it's also important that your agent knows the area and knows what to look for. That way they can suggest to you, hey, I might want to get the sewer line sketch, checked out, especially in this neighborhood, because some of them are definitely more notorious for problems than others.
Yeah, it costs like maybe like $500, but it's going to save you $5,000 or $8,000 down the road. So it's wise.
Or more.
Money. Yeah.
Very That's wise. Pretty good investment. Sounds to me like absolutely.
Yep. Insurance.
All right. Joy in Western Washington, Rozella in Eastern Washington. Thank you guys for your time today. If I get to the YouTube audience, these are expert agents that we get on our call every other week here to chat with. Well worth listening to their words of advice. And if you have any questions, their contact information is going to be on the screen. Give either of them a call. I'm sure they're happy to chat with you and answer any questions you might have. Thanks, ladies, for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye, guys.
Really fun.
Yeah, bye.
Aloha.
Take care.